Hey everyone, it's Gamer Girl Brett. I don't know. You ever had these this chocolate covered coffee beans? They're kind of addictive, honestly. Uh yeah. So kind of an update video, I suppose you could say. I would like to play different games on the channel. I'm tired of Dark Souls, tired of just everything in general. Dark Souls 3, I'm still stuck on Vort. So I've hardly played that at all, and I only get to play it on the weekends when I go to my brother's house because he has the game. I do not. But I have Dragon's Dogma, I have Shadow of Mordor, I have Assassin's Creed, I have Call of Duty. I got quite a few things. I even have Minecraft, which I got years and years and years ago. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to just figure out what I want this channel to be, because it could be an art. It could be anything that I can and am competent in. It could be an art channel. It could be a writing channel. Something I've wanted to do for a very long time is read my book on my channel, doing my sort of own voice acting, and doing digital art of comic strips for the video or whatever. Just like kind of like an animatic while I read the book and all that. Like Critical Role animatics, that kind of that type of thing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with this channel. There's so many options, so many of which, because see, here's the thing about being in a position where you want to get bigger on YouTube is that you have to choose something that you're not only familiar with, but that you're comfortable commentating about and being effective and accurate about it. I can't, like, when I used to play Dark Souls 2 on one of my older playthroughs, I was rambling on about how I don't like Dragonlight Castle because of all the recycled enemies, which was a completely retarded argument, and I was rambling on because I had no idea what I was talking about. But now, if I went back, I guarantee I would have genuine, accurate opinions on the game. Speaking of which, off topic, a little sidetracked. Man, I'm addicted to these 100%. But Dark Souls 2 is always frowned upon for being the worst of the Dark Souls games. Not so. Not so, Malsois. I don't even know what that word means. French, Spanish, German? Anyway, I just remembered something about my book. But Dark Souls 2 is, in my opinion, and factually, more of a classic RPG than a Dark Souls game. Because the reason Dark Souls became so popular is because it's a game that doesn't hold your hand. That game will just ram itself up your butt over and over and over again. It does not care about you. There was originally going to be a type of mimic that disguised itself as a bonfire. That is the definition of how to lose the trust of your fan base, and that's what they obviously care about the profit and their fan base, but in the games don't care about the who's playing it. They don't care who you are. They don't care anything about it. They're just gonna destroy you no matter what it takes, and it's an unfair game. 100% it's unfair, but that's why it became so successful because so many other big game companies are too scared of making a game that's unbalanced. Like Sekiro, for example, is an extremely difficult game. You need to have extremely quick reaction timings and precision and accuracy and everything. And that's what makes it so difficult, is that it doesn't care who you are. It's going to destroy you either way. And you have to learn how to get around that yourself. It's a game that puts you on your own, unless you summon people. Whatever, Dark Souls. But it puts you on your own and it forces you to learn. And that is why it's so addictive, is because you're thinking, okay, I've learned this enemy's moveset. Next time I'm going to go back and beat it. And if you don't beat it, you're like, okay, the next time. If you don't beat it, next time. If you don't beat it, next time. And that's why it keeps you coming back. Dark Souls 2 is Dark Souls 2 tried to replicate it they did an job. Because something I hear a lot of people complaining about Dark Souls 2 is that it relies too heavily on artificial difficulty. There are too many areas where you're just getting booty hecked by a ton of enemies, and it's just a bunch of things coming at you at once. If you can name one area in Dark Souls 1 other than, well, even Ash Lake, if you can name one area in Dark Souls 1 where you do not have a ton of enemies coming at you and you are forced to manage them and learn how to get around them, I will immediately withdraw my argument. Dark Souls 1 does the same thing, but it does it better, in all honesty, because Dark Souls 1 has better enemy placement. It makes it easier to lure things out, fight them one by one. Or, if you're an idiotic person who wants to be brave like me, you can just charge in and die over and over again. Now, I'd say the Capra Demon is something that people think should have come out of Dark Souls 2, which, in all honesty, isn't too inaccurate. It relies on, kind of like, I also think the Neato fight is like something out of Dark Souls 2. But see, the Neato fight is very balanced in that you have all these skeletons coming at you, but their aggro range is very short. So you can either manage where Neato is, or you can focus on them, kill them with a divine weapon. But also, Neato's attacks are extremely slow, which makes it easier to manage the skeletons. So if you bring a divine weapon or perfectly manage where you control Neato's spot or placing, then the fight becomes drastically easier. Me personally, I prefer a divine weapon because it's easier, but whatever. And Dark Souls 2 has a lot of fights that are just as good, if not better, as some of the fights in Dark Souls 1. One fight that I do not like would be Ancient Dragon, because I don't know how in the hell that's. Never mind. We're not getting into that right now. Let me think for a sec. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I was talking about what bosses in Dark Souls 2 are good. Now, I haven't played that game in a while. I am going to be including the DLC in this list. Some people, for some retarded reason, consider that, the DLC doesn't count. It's like, okay, yeah, but then people go on and talk about Dark Souls 1 like the entire thing was just the Artorias fight. It's the DLC. Fume Knight Rain. One of the best fights in any Dark Souls game in history. It's incredible. He's high pressure, he's difficult, but if you figure him out, you can do it. You have to conquer it. Saruman. While not the hardest fight, not even near as hard as Fume Knight Rain, the first time you go in there, if you are not prepared and you haven't looked up a guide or anything, which I do not recommend, go in the game blind, learn how to play it. But if you go in there and you don't know anything about Saruman, the fight at all, you don't even know his name, you're just dead. You're gonna die. There's nothing you can do. Well, he's very fast. He is very fast, and his moves are not very telegraphed, which makes them so difficult. Fume Knight Rain has a very, very large variety of attacks, but they are all telegraphed, and that is why he's you can, if you learn his telegraphs, you can beat him easily. Saruman has a very small, the variations of attacks, but they are not telegraphed at all. Sorry, I dropped something. 5-second rule. I think it's been a bit more than 5 seconds, whatever. And Ava the King's Pet. Easily one of my favorite fights in any Souls game. It's very scenic. The fight is difficult to some degree, if you're not trying to choose the game. Oh god, can't even remember his name. The Slumbering Dragon. I think it starts with an S. Sin the Slumbering Dragon. That fight, I would have a lot more fun with if he landed once in a year, But when he does land, he's kind of fun. They were trying to it's obvious they were trying to redo the Calamite fight, and they did a decent job with what they gave us a new arena, gave us a new boss and everything, and it was pretty high pressure. Ilana. I would not call Ilana a difficult fight. I would call Ilana a nearly impossible fight. Because I swear to God, she summons Velstadt more than anything. And how am I supposed to fight 2 bosses in a row? I don't even know if you guys remember, because I deleted the video, but I did a New Game Plus 3 fight with Ilana, the Squalid Queen, and I died more times than I can count. More times than I can count. What else? Velstadt. Velstadt is a pretty easy fight, sadly. It looks awesome, but it's why can't I think right now? Looking Glass Night. Looking Glass Night is people overhype it a bit. I'll admit. It looks cool. It is. People use the word epic a lot, but it's an epic fight. It's got epic scenery, music, and I really like the mechanic of the whole shield thing. What I don't like is if you're using any ultra great sword, your attacks are bound to bounce off of that stupid shield. Whatever. Hold on, let me think. Why? It's been so long since I played Dark Souls 2, I can't think of any of the bosses. Thorn Defender and Watch are alright. It's a fun fight once you get the hang of it. Royal Red Authority can suck my wee-wee. I blink a lot. This is the point where the views and the watch time just goes. I can't. Come on. I'm trying to think of another one of the bosses. Obviously. I literally cannot think of any of the bosses. Whatever. Let's move on to something else. I'm drawing a thing. I don't know how well you can see it. It is unfinished. It's an upcoming character in my book. I think I actually showed this in a previous video. Whatever, don't matter. But, I haven't decided on a name yet. But he's a giant. One of the 6, 7, 4, something. One of the several knights of Broken King Reed. Now, he's called Broken King Reed. I already got into this. We don't need to discuss this right now. It's going to take me 40 years. I think I'm just getting recording. Goodbye, sweetie. I love you. Oh, I got chocolate and coffee stuck in my braces.